The morning Sarah Martinez lost her job at the prestigious Georgetown Starbucks was the same morning her simple act of kindness went viral, sparked a political firestorm, and unexpectedly touched millions of hearts across America's divided landscape. She hadn't meant to cause such chaos with the 3 words she'd carefully penned on a tall caramel macchiato cup: "You are loved." But when your customer is the former president's youngest son, even the smallest gestures can avalanche into moments that define a nation's conscience. Sarah had been working since 4:30 a.m. that morning, her fingers moving through the familiar dance of espresso shots and steamed milk, her mind wandering between her upcoming nursing school exam and the stack of bills waiting at home. The Georgetown location had always attracted an eclectic mix of politicians, foreign diplomats, and college students, but she'd learned to treat them all with the same warmth that had earned her Employee of the Month for 3 consecutive quarters. The autumn air had just begun to crisp the edges of the leaves outside when she saw him. Sarah had recognized Barron Trump the moment he walked in, shoulders slightly hunched, his lanky 6 feet 7 inches frame making him tower over the morning rush crowd. At 17, he carried himself with the peculiar weight of someone who had grown up in the harsh glare of public scrutiny. The dark circles under his eyes spoke of sleepless nights, perhaps from the latest round of social media attacks she'd seen trending just that morning. His attempt at anonymity, a simple Yankees cap pulled low over his eyes, only made him more conspicuous in the upscale DC coffee shop. The night before, she'd seen the cruel memes circulating about him, the latest in an endless stream of social media brutality that seemed to follow the Trump children like shadows. Sarah remembered how her own younger brother had struggled with bullying in high school. How could this be any different, except magnified 1,000 times by the unforgiving lens of national attention? "Name for the order?" she'd asked, maintaining the professional courtesy that was the hallmark of her 6 years behind the counter. Their eyes met briefly, his guarded, hers warm. She noticed how his fingers nervously tapped against his wallet, a subtle tell of anxiety she recognized from serving countless stressed students during finals week. "Barron, with an O," he'd said quietly, the ghost of a smile playing at the corners of his mouth as he offered the subtle disguise. Something in that small gesture, the everyday attempt at normalcy from someone who'd never known it, tugged at Sarah's heart. The way he glanced around the shop, checking to see if anyone had noticed him, reminded her of prey animals in those nature documentaries her father loved to watch. Before she could second-guess herself, she'd written those 3 words beneath his modified name, a small heart dotting the I in loved. It wasn't about politics, she told herself. It was about being human, about remembering that behind every headline and meme was a real person, trying their best to navigate a world that had thrust them into a spotlight they never asked for. The morning rush continued its usual chaotic dance around them, the hiss of the espresso machine, the chatter of Georgetown students debating last night's politics assignment, the clinking of ceramic mugs against saucers. Sarah moved through the familiar rhythm, but she couldn't help stealing glances at Barron as he waited for his drink. He stood apart from the crowd, scrolling through his phone with the practiced indifference of someone used to being stared at. What happened in the next 24 hours would test Sarah's faith in humanity, challenge the nation's capacity for empathy, and force Americans to confront uncomfortable truths about how they treat the children of their political opponents. It would also reveal an unexpected side of Barron Trump that no one, not even his father's staunchest critics, could have anticipated. The first sign that her small act had spiraled beyond her control came during her lunch break. Her phone buzzed with a text from her sister. "Oh my God, are you trending?" Attached was a photo, already gathering thousands of retweets, of Barron sitting in the window of their cafe, sunlight catching the metallic Sharpie words on his cup. His long fingers were wrapped around it like a lifeline, and the camera had captured something rare, a genuine, unguarded smile as he read the message. Sarah's stomach dropped as she scrolled through the responses. Her simple gesture had somehow become a Rorschach test for America's divided soul. Within hours, the photo had gone viral, but the responses fractured along familiar fault lines. Conservative media praised it as a touching moment of humanity rising above political divisions. Liberal outlets questioned whether it was a staged PR stunt. Twitter erupted with equal parts heartwarming support and cynical dismissal. Sarah watched in growing horror as her simple gesture became yet another battlefield in America's cultural war. Fox News was already running the story in their ticker. Heartwarming. Barista's simple act of kindness to former first son goes viral. Meanwhile, rival networks were busy speculating about whether the whole thing was orchestrated, a calculated attempt to humanize the Trump family. Sarah's social media accounts were flooded with friend requests, interview demands, and messages ranging from effusive praise to hostile accusations. The local regulars who recognized her were split too. Professor Jenkins from Georgetown's political science department gave her a knowing nod and slipped an extra $5 in the tip jar. But the morning's regular crowd of liberal arts students, who usually chatted with her about their thesis projects, now regarded her with suspicious glances and whispered conversations. But it was the email from corporate headquarters that made her blood run cold. Due to a breach of customer privacy protocols, it began, and Sarah knew her world was about to change forever. Her hands trembled as she read further, the words blurring through tears she refused to let fall. 6 years of service, of creating a little corner of warmth in a cold city, reduced to a violation of corporate policy. As she sat in the back room, still wearing the green apron that had become like a second skin, Sarah wondered if she would ever stop being amazed at how quickly kindness could become controversial in a world desperate to find enemies in every act of grace. Sarah spent that night in her cramped Georgetown apartment, surrounded by open nursing textbooks she couldn't focus on. Tomorrow's exam on pediatric care seemed trivial now as her phone continued its relentless buzz with notifications. The termination letter lay crumpled next to her half-eaten ramen dinner, corporate's swift response to what they deemed an unauthorized interaction with a high-profile customer. The irony wasn't lost on her that a company whose mission statement celebrated creating inspired moments of connection had fired her for doing exactly that. Her brother Miguel called around midnight. "Remember when you used to stand up to my bullies in high school?" His voice cracked slightly. "You're still the same Sarah, protecting people who need it. Don't let them make you regret being kind." But at 3:47 a.m., everything changed. A new photo hit social media, this time from Barron Trump's personal Instagram account, his first post in over 2 years. The image showed his Starbucks cup from that morning, carefully preserved, sitting on what appeared to be a desk covered in homework and college applications. The caption read, "To the barista who reminded me I'm more than my last name, you have no idea how much I needed this today. Be kind." Mental health matters. Within minutes, the post went viral. Professor Jenkins from Georgetown's political science department shared it with a lengthy thread about the human cost of political polarization. The regular students who had earlier regarded Sarah with suspicion began posting their own stories about her small acts of kindness over the years. The time she stayed late to help a stressed freshman practice for a presentation, the free refills during finals week, the way she remembered not just names but dreams and fears and small victories. But it was Barron's next action that truly stunned the nation. In a raw, unfiltered video that followed, he spoke directly to his phone camera for the first time in public memory. His voice, deeper than most expected, carried the weight of years spent in silent observation. The Yankees cap from the coffee shop sat on the desk behind him. "I've watched for years as people have torn apart everyone in my family, including me," he began, his composure remarkably steady. "I've seen the worst of humanity in comment sections and headlines. But today, a stranger showed me its best side. And now I'm watching as she loses her job for nothing more than being kind." He paused, running a hand through his dark hair. "That's not okay. That's not who we should be as a country." He continued, his voice growing stronger. "I know about Sarah Martinez. I know she's working to become a nurse while dealing with crushing student debt. I know she's a DACA recipient who's spent 6 years making Georgetown's mornings brighter. I know she has a brother who faced bullying, just like I have. We're not so different, Sarah and I. We're both just trying to find our place in a world that sometimes seems determined to keep us in boxes we didn't choose." The internet exploded. Here, Save Sarah started trending nationwide, quickly followed by Be Kind Like Sarah. The Georgetown student body mobilized with a speed that would have impressed their political science professors, organizing a sit-in at the coffee shop. Professor Jenkins led a coalition of faculty members in an open letter to Starbucks corporate, arguing that Sarah's firing represented everything wrong with corporate America's prioritization of policy over humanity. Celebrities, politicians from both parties, and mental health advocates began sharing their own stories of unexpected kindness that had changed their lives. Former first children from across political divides, Chelsea Clinton, the Bush twins, Sasha and Malia Obama, issued a joint statement about the unique pressures of growing up in the political spotlight and the critical importance of simple human decency. By dawn, Starbucks was facing unprecedented backlash. Their Twitter mentions were flooded with customers threatening to boycott, but it was the unexpected alliance that formed next that truly captured the nation's attention. Donald Trump, in a rare moment of subtlety, retweeted his son's video with a single comment. "Proud of you, son. Sarah, you're hired." Meanwhile, President Biden's official account shared a message about the importance of kindness transcending political boundaries, along with a call to number Save Sarah. The story took another turn when journalists began digging deeper into Sarah's background. They found a pattern of quiet kindness, her volunteer work at local homeless shelters, the free English lessons she gave to other immigrant service workers during her breaks, the college recommendation letters she'd written for younger baristas. Her former Employee of the Month photos, still hanging in the back room, told a story of consistent excellence that transcended political divisions. By midday, Starbucks CEO released an emergency statement. Not only was Sarah reinstated with a promotion to manager, but the company was launching a new Notes of Kindness initiative, encouraging baristas to share uplifting messages with customers who seemed to need them. They also announced a scholarship program for employees pursuing healthcare careers, naming Sarah as the first recipient. But the story's most powerful moment came that afternoon, when Barron Trump walked back into the Georgetown Starbucks. This time, he wasn't trying to be inconspicuous. The regular customers, professors, students, and local workers who had watched the drama unfold fell silent as he made his way to the counter. He carried a handmade card signed by himself and, surprisingly, his 4 older siblings. Inside was a fully paid scholarship to complete Sarah's nursing degree, along with a handwritten note. "Thank you for seeing me as just Barron. Your kindness didn't only touch my life, it showed millions of people that we can still choose love over hate. P.S. I think you'll make an amazing nurse." Professor Jenkins, who witnessed the moment, later wrote in his widely shared blog, "In an age where every action is politicized, where kindness is suspect and cynicism is mistaken for wisdom, we witnessed something remarkable, the simple truth that humanity transcends party lines." The media dubbed it the Barista effect, a rare moment where an act of kindness pierced through America's political armor and reminded people of their shared humanity. Social scientists would later study it as a turning point in digital age discourse, a case study in how small actions could still break through the noise of division. Sarah kept the card on her wall through nursing school, residency, and eventually her work in pediatric mental health. She specialized in helping teenagers dealing with anxiety and public pressure, her office becoming a safe haven for young people struggling under the weight of expectations they never asked for. Years later, when interviewed about that famous morning, she would smile and say, "I just saw a tired kid who needed reminding that he mattered. My brother taught me that sometimes the people who seem to have everything are the ones most in need of simple kindness." As for Barron Trump, that moment marked his emergence as an advocate for mental health and digital age kindness. His foundation, started with the money he received from turning down multiple book deals about the incident, has funded kindness-focused initiatives in schools across America. The Georgetown Starbucks, where it all began, became one of his foundation's first partner locations, hosting weekly support groups for teenagers dealing with cyberbullying. The cup itself sits in a simple display case in the Smithsonian's American History Museum, next to other artifacts of moments when America chose unity over division. Its 3 words, slightly faded but still legible, continue to remind visitors that sometimes the smallest acts of kindness can heal the deepest divides. And every year, on the anniversary of that morning, Starbucks gives out free coffee to customers who share a kind word with a stranger, proving that while grande gestures make headlines, it's the tall order of everyday kindness that truly changes the world. The Georgetown location always has the longest lines these days, with Professor Jenkins still holding court at his regular table, telling new students about the morning he witnessed America remember its heart.